Hello guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Regan's Rugby Strength and Conditioning. I've got one of my members here. His name is Leigh. He's currently on my RugbyFit program. He's doing the one-to-one program where we talk every single week and delve into his training, nutrition and his mindset. And he's giving us some time on this Friday, Friday morning, so we can chat about him, chat about his progress and everything. So cheers, Leigh. How are you doing on this fine Friday?
I'm really good, thanks, Regan. And you?
I am doing good. It is warm here. Nice clear sky. Oh, it's a funny one. It's a funny one. I've always joked to Leigh as well. Leigh lives in my hometown, and he even drove past my old gym like a couple of times a month or whatever, and it took me to move away, move abroad, and then start running Facebook ads for him to find out about me. But that is the world we live in nowadays. But yeah, it's just funny. And you play, anyone might be local, you currently play for Wanstead?
Yep, a part of their third team at the minute, so yeah.
And yeah, so Leigh started on my program, I think the 4th of Jan. I think we did one of my challenges, which is like a taster plan, and then he upgraded onto the RugbyFit program, and he's going to tell us all about his experience. So Leigh, why don't you give us, not the program, why don't you tell us and anyone watching, listening about you and maybe job and life and family and stuff like that first?
Of course, as Regan said, I'm part of the kind of one-to-one program that he's doing, and have been now all year, and I'm a lot fitter and healthier because of it. But kind of personally, I'm a quantity surveyor. I've been working all the way through kind of lockdowns, working on hospitals and medical centres. So it's been busy kind of adapting to what's needed to kind of suit the current requirements. As I said, I've been really busy with work, but the lockdown in terms of working from home has really suited me. And I think that was one of the reasons why I've decided to kind of get fit and get more motivated. Played a lot of rugby growing up, played a lot of rugby at university. And then when I come back from university, played a lot of rugby. Then got into kind of running and triathlons, done that for a few years. But then my daughter came along, who's now 6, and work got a lot busier, and I just kind of fell away. And it was easy to have a pint and put on a pair of trainers in the end. And the weight kind of gradually piled on. And then it got to kind of Christmas time, and I was the heaviest I've ever been. And I kind of looked at the situation and thought, right, the pubs are closed. I'm working from home. There's a bit of extra money, luckily a bit of extra money because there's no travel, etc., etc. I thought this is the right time to properly commit. I'd been connected to Regan on Facebook, I think, since November. So I'd seen some of the things he'd uploaded in terms of transformations and other bits and pieces. And I've tried a couple of times in the past to do similar things, and I just didn't have the motivation or the time. Well, I thought I didn't. And it was just perfect because I had the extra hours in the morning where I didn't have to commute. There was no kind of temptation of a pub or going out for a meal. And it was a perfect storm, really. And it's worked out really well for me at the minute. So, yeah.
That's wicked. And that's some of the testing grounds we're going to have in the next weeks as we're recording it. Some places are allowed to open their outdoor areas, and I'm having to make sure that clients don't just lose all of the motivation, because things being shut is kind of taking that temptation away. But Leigh just said to me before we started this, he's saying no to the pub sessions, at least till he's finished on this program.
Yeah.
And hopefully, like, I think we've spoken as we go on. We've said that you realize what's unnecessary, like just binging and just getting on it for the sake of it, and then maybe we might enjoy, because the Six Nations has happened. I tell everyone a beer or two is not going to interfere with your whole week's training, and Leigh's very happily had a couple of drinks and then still enjoyed his weekend.
Definitely.
And I think the flexibility is important with the people I train. Like you like you said, you've got a family, you've got busy work life. You can't, the stuff that I offer is not 200 grams of broccoli, 125 grams of chicken breast. It's not meticulous, going to take you all day to do it. And I think that's why people enjoy it. Would you agree?
No, agree. Definitely agree, Regan. I mean, as you kind of touched upon it's simple. I mean, it's just simple nutrition. It's the basics of nutrition, and that's all kind of summed up in the handbook you give out and with the recipes, etc. So, yeah, it's simple to follow. It can work around family life quite well in terms of main meals when you're eating with the family, and then my wife and daughter kind of eat 5 days, 6 days a week with me, so it all fits in. So it is, for me, it's simple to follow.
And it's normal type meals. It's not these bodybuilding meals you'll see in these magazines, whatever. Because some people when they're messaging me, asking me about it, they say, oh, I don't want to eat different to my family. And I was like, it's normal foods that I suggest. Like, it's not just like bird food or chicken feed, whatever it is. And usually the family, if someone in the household is making a change with stuff, everyone normally follows. I'm not sure if that's happened in your case.
It definitely has. It definitely has. And as we've discussed as well, I mean, I've had all the support here as well, what I'm needed, which I think is quite important. I think other people need to be kind of sold on the journey as well, just for that support, because it's quite hard living in a house where, well, I presume it could be quite hard living in a house where there's chocolate everywhere, crisps everywhere. So I think everyone needs to buy in, but they have here, and it's been good.
That's cool. And then just on your own little intro, you said that up to Christmas was like the heaviest and most unhealthy you've been. Was the Christmas just had, and then you were like, fuck it, I need to change this? Or was it you there for a while?
No, well, I think it's been gradually creeping up. And I think as everyone, I've been walking around in tracksuit bottoms for the best part of a year. So after Christmas, I had to go to a meeting. I had to go to a site meeting. I put a pair of jeans on, my favourite jeans, and they just didn't fit. And I thought, I need to do something now. A little wake up call like that, and again, and you look at yourself in the mirror. I think because when you've got that gradual change, you just don't realise how much weight you've put on. I mean, I'm not one for looking at photos from years ago or anything like that. So I just didn't realise how big I'd got.
And it's not like I mean, the scenario of the COVID lockdowns has changed slightly, but I mean, you've got the same kitchen, you've got your own home gym, you've even got a boxing bag set up. But what's been the difference from before you couldn't be bothered and now you're ready to roll? What's been the best thing to change that?
I think, if I'm being honest, Regan, it's being on the program. It's having that accountability. It's having the framework to follow, because there's so much information out there. I mean, again, as we've discussed previously, you can go onto Google and type something in, and there's going to be so much information, so many workouts you could follow, and you just get lost in the science of it, lost in the detail. And I think the two big things I've taken away from this is the framework that you give in terms of the training, the types of training that suits people who've been brought up in team environments, especially rugby, and that kind of accountability that you've got that with you every week, and you've got the group. I mean, I think it's a good thing that when we haven't had a good week, you put in the group, oh, Leigh's put on half a kilo, or someone's done this, you haven't filled this in. It makes that accountability even more, because it's being put in public. I mean, it's not criticising or anything like that. It's just a way of, it's kind of constructive feedback, and it's in part of a group, part of the little team that you put us in. So I think that's been brilliant. That's been really handy for me, because I remember the first time I didn't have such a good week and you called me out for it in the little group. I thought, oh, yeah, I need to improve next week. And it's things like that I think are really good. I think what I'm trying to get across is that in times when you are going off track a little bit, it's not a case of, oh, don't worry, you'll be better next week. It's kind of, look, you need to sort it out. It's not a case of a holding hand type environment. It is, right, you need to do this, you've committed to this, now buck up your ideas and get it done. And I think that appeals to people who have been brought up in kind of sporting rugby environments. I know that does for me, kind of the level I played at years ago. It was the accountability there, and it was those targets there to hit. So I think that's really resonated with me, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, it's kind of the perfect, like you said, the environment and the camaraderie. When I was doing personal training and I would get players, some rugby players, but some people who don't play sport, and I would give them that same kind of feedback, and they'd kind of like buck up, and I'm like, oh, I can't talk to this woman in the same way as my mates or the guys I'm training at rugby. And especially lockdown, I mean, there was a month of rugby in August, September, whenever, but people have missed that camaraderie. Leigh's doing one-to-one, so we talk every week on the phone. I reach out, I message personally everyone that I talk to at least once. Leigh's also said that there's a training group as well. I also have a public group, well, this one that you're watching on, and if you're listening, a public group. So there's loads of different ways of the sort of community aspect, which is important. It's like, if you're on your own in your flat and you can't leave, and you click on a YouTube workout, 5 minutes in, if you don't get it or you're bored, you're going to stop. But when you're at a rugby training, I guess guys have realized this week, and there's 20 of you doing a drill together, you're not going to want to give up. And that's what I'm trying to recreate with the online program. It's more difficult, but there's guys all in the same scenario, doing the same type of workouts and getting the same type of progress. And it's good to sort of commend each other, celebrate wins, and a place where you can be proud of your achievements. Because we all know we all know there's a lot of stick giving and whatever, but this is a place where we can share these things and be proud of. Losing weight is good. Having a healthy meal is good. Like not boozing as much is good. Obviously there's times when we're going to do that as well, but it's a good place to share and to like commend each other. That's what I like.
100% agree. And I think it's that team environment that a lot of people who always sign up for this are used to. And I think it's a good way of taking that mentality, that team mentality that a lot of us have, and putting it into the kind of program and the setup that you've got, Regan. So yeah, I really found that helpful.
Cool. And then why don't we share the progress so far? I haven't picked Leigh to talk because he's had the most weight loss, because someone I messaged this morning has lost 4 stone. Someone has lost 3.5 stone. I haven't picked him because he's the best, most weight loss ever. I just thought it'd be a good person to share with. So Leigh, why don't you tell people about the weight change, how you're feeling, and all the benefits that you've seen?
Of course. I mean, as Regan said in the intro, I think I've lost just over 2 stone now. I've got another 3 weeks on the program. I'm looking for at least another 2.5 stone. Oh, 2.5 stone, bloody hell, no, another half stone.
I think I'm on your profile in the background. I think it's exactly like 2.3 kilos to go.
Oh, brilliant. I mean, I think that's achievable in the next 3 or 4 weeks. And as I've said it in our weekly calls, I mean, I feel like I'm, again, I use a term very loosely, an athlete again. When I was growing up and playing rugby properly, I played at a fairly decent level. I played for a fairly decent level of rugby at university as well, and kind of club level before I gave it all up. And there was that training, there was that kind of dedication to it, and I feel like I've got that back again. I mean, I love the training. I mean, I'm probably even, I'm putting a couple more runs in a week, couple more weight sessions in a week after and around the other sessions. I just really enjoyed the training. And I can start to see differences all the time now. I mean, I said to Regan in the kind of pre-catch-up that I had back at rugby training last week, I put one of my Once a training shirts on, and my wife said to me that was tight before Christmas, and there was a lot of room in it where there should have been room, and again around the shoulders and arms it fitted a lot better. So I feel fitter. I think I look fitter. I just feel a lot better. I mean, I'm 35, and at training last week I felt old. I thought I was one of the oldest blokes at training, and I think I can safely say I was fitter than some of the a lot fitter than some of the younger ones, especially in the forwards. So
Nice.
yeah, that I felt happy about that. But again, I did feel old, as I said to you last week. I did feel old.
And you're still looking to play, right, when the season comes again?
Oh, definitely. I mean, in May, the third team, we've got a couple of games in May, middle May, and the end of May.
Was that how soon they are? Nice.
Yeah, and then I think if you've only said games in May, and then pre-season will start again properly in kind of June or July time for a full kind of season next year. Next season is the plan.
Is the May the weird rugby rules? The no rules?
I believe it is, yeah. So don't think there's any scrums or any mauls.
Mm-hmm.
Which will be an interesting one for some of the bigger lads in the pack.
Yeah. Anyway, I've had this discussion with many people. And I think Leigh's already said that sometimes he does a bit more, and we've been not blessed, but Leigh's got plenty of equipment at home, and we've been able to chop and change and put things in. Like I said, he's got a punch bag, dumbbells, kettlebells, barbell stuff. I can't remember off the top of my head.
No, yeah, there's next on the list, Regan. Barbell.
Well, you're building your outside gym, aren't you?
I am. Yeah, we're having an extension built, hopefully starting in July. Yeah, and I've already kind of done some research into. My wife's let me have about 10 square meters of the garage, so that's more than enough for a little barbell set on a row. So yeah.
And then another thing that's not like, or whatever. Obviously, right now you pinged your hamstring last week. Did something happen near the start of the plan as well, or no? Am I making that up?
It was the same hamstring. It was doing the burpees on the fitness test, and for some reason the hamstring went. But again, it was only very minor. After a week of kind of doing a lot of the upper body stuff and working around it, I was back running again. And I think I looked at because I keep my own little training diary as well as the TrainerWise, which again is a brilliant app, which we might want to talk about in a minute. And I think I've just done over 300 kilometers this year, running wise. So
yeah,
the hamstring's been a bit tender at times, but it's been fine for running. I mean, I went for a 5K this morning, so it's all good now.
What was one of your first runs week of the 4th of Jan? First, it normally starts on a 3K or 5K? 3K, doesn't it? The challenge is one.
3K, but I think I've done 5K because I'm that's how I'm wired. I don't like doing less than a 5K when I go out for a run.
Okay.
For some strange reason.
And we've programmed you in 3 weeks, a half marathon.
Yep.
So we're going to see not if you get that done, but how well you get that done. Do you think you can do
I'll
that
say publicly now. I'll under 2 hours, Regan. I'll say that publicly.
There we go. On the record, on Facebook, it's official. But yeah, people talk about when they get injuries, like if you're looking to drop your body weight, you can get the close results by just monitoring your food for a week or two. Leigh's hamstring is hurt. Obviously, within a few days, he was back doing a run. But if he like really injured himself, there's still upper body. There's still some core stuff. There's still other things you can do. So there's always something you can do, and you should move with injuries. They shouldn't halt you in your steps.
Definitely.
And I think you said that before at some time you had an online program with someone, but it wasn't like as much support, and it was a bit too specific. That was you, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. I done one just for a month. I think probably about 18 months ago, and it was very scientific. Scientific's probably the wrong word. It was just very detailed. Yeah, I think it was probably just a program that was just thrown out with no kind of thought about the individual doing it, if that makes sense. Whereas, as you've said before, Regan, with this one, you've tailored it to what I've got, what I like doing. Yeah, so this one's been a lot more focused on my goals as well. And
I'm not trying to dumb down my own program, but as Leigh said, it's not scientific. It's not going to be like, you don't have to figure out percentages. You don't need to have these tiny weights, whatever. It's like the training. I mean, it's only even a third of it really, but it's not going to be really hard. You don't have to worry about what equipment your gym has. You don't even need a gym. Obviously, no one's had a gym for about a year now. And the basics work. And if you implement the basics for a long time, that's where you're going to see change. If you want to lose some weight, feel fitter, play better rugby, it's about sticking to something that's manageable for a couple of months. Like I normally have 5-6 workouts a week. Leigh has chosen to do some more, as we've already spoken about the food. Have we spoken about the food? No, we haven't, have we really?
A little bit, yeah. I think we have, yeah.
But the food, what I give up right now at this point in time is a couple of resources, loads of stuff to cook, loads of instructions. The family can enjoy it as well. But obviously he enters everything on my app as well, and I can see like every single calorie. And we've already spoken about the accountability. So how has the apps helped as opposed to like a YouTube workout or anything that you've tried before?
I think because it's there, it's recorded, and you can see the progress. I mean, one of the big things I like on when you look at the app is the progress of the weight, because it's got a little graph of it as well. The fact that it goes down like that, I think is a nice little feature. And it's just a recording of the progress I like, and it's there for you in black and white. It's simple to follow, and you can see the journey. I mean, I can go back to the start of the program and kind of look at, I think, again, we talked about it last week with the 3K run test. And I mean, I've done it.
Piece of piss for you now.
Yeah, just look at the program. I mean, I think I was doing about 6.5 minute kilometers. I mean, now I just tick along now. And I mean, that was me putting an effort in. Now I just tick along now 5.5 minute kilometers as something quite easy. So it's just good seeing that progress. And I think that's always been good for motivation. I think seeing how times and levels have improved and changed. So I think that's a really good thing. It's just, I like the progress that you can track on it. There's
quite a lot of features that I didn't even know about. And it's one of the premium apps that you can get if you are delivering coaching online. So obviously I pay for it, but there's, I think also, because with the bodyweight stuff, it's not as blah, 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 numeric, whereas if you're in the gym and we were focusing the exact weights, but it also will tell you what you did the last time you did that exercise. Is that right as well? You did 12 reps at 80 last time, and then you can say, oh, fuck it, I've got to do more, whatever. Yeah. So it's a lot of support when I'm not there, but also on top of that, Leigh's doing one-to-one. We talk every week, and I message everyone that I train a couple of times. But yeah, so I mean, what's been the most useful thing? I know we talked about there's a couple of weeks left. What do you think you'll take the most out of following on? Like, what would you carry on with things, or is there anything that you've learned or that would be most valuable to Leigh?
I think it's just, I think you've put a bit of a framework in place for me now in terms of habits. It's all about forming those habits. And I think from the start of the year, it will be 4 months. And I think I've just taken away those healthy habits that is part of my routine now, to get up and go for a run or do some training or meal prep. And it's kind of just the whole overhaul of kind of habits and the way I look at things as well. I mean, I think shopping takes me a little bit longer now because I look at the back of packets, you look at what's in it. I mean, you plan your meals out. I think that's the main thing that I'm going to take away from it, is that kind of new healthy framework, which I've really enjoyed.
Looking at the back of a packet is so important because there's so much marketing bullshit on the front, and you might lie. They will lie to you like, do you know the cereal? What is it, Wheatos or something?
Yeah.
Do you remember them?
Yes.
You said that like you've got it.
Oh, I think my daughter's got some or something similar.
My opinion, 99% cereals are absolute garbage. I don't think that normal milk is very good for you, but that's another debate. But most cereals are absolute garbage. But on the front, they will make it seem like it's the most healthiest, best thing for your kids ever. Oh, it's got vitamin D, or it's got plenty of iron, or it's got whatever. But like, if you look at the back, it's basically just like processed sugar and like white bread in there. What's that? The door's coming. Daughter.
1 minute, you go. Sorry.
I'm in here. See you later.
Sorry, Regan.
That's not sorry to me. But yeah, if you're buying something, don't believe whatever it is telling you on the front. Flip it around and read it. And if you don't know how ingredients work, the first stuff, it's in order of what's in it. So obviously the first 1 or 2 or 3 are the main things. And if you're having, I can't think of examples because I haven't done this in so long because it's engraved in my brain. There's a habit that I like to tell my guys. But if the first line is sugar, then it's like at least 40% sugar. It's like if you're looking at a juice, that's a good example. If you're looking at a juice, I mean, Tropicana, okay, but one of these like home supermarket brown ones, ingredient 1 is probably water. Ingredient 2 is probably sugar, which is the worst type of sugar you can ever have. 3 is probably a stabilizer, and number 4 might be the tiniest bit of orange or apple. So like, just look on the back before you're buying things. And then the goal we've put down, Leigh, was to be under 15 stone. A couple of weeks. We are going to hit that. When's the last time you were under 15 stone?
I think when I got married, so about 10 years ago, 11 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's going to be good to be back.
Long time ago.
Going to get back to there. Easy. Couple of weeks. Leigh's already promised. Yeah, we're not going to hit the beer gardens.
No, definitely not. No.
Couple of weeks. I think it's less than. I think it's 2 point something kilos. Cool. I'm going to jump back on the Facebook video, see if there's any questions for my man Leigh. Potentially not. It's a late morning one. No, a couple of likes. Cheers for engaging, boys. But I think that's it, Leigh. Cover most things. Anything else? Any tips for anyone that's thinking about it, or anyone that should believe in you? Someone that's walked the walk.
What I'm going to say is you need to be committed, because it's not easy. It is hard work. I mean, especially if you start from a place where I was, which was unhealthy and overweight and quite overweight. It's changing those habits, changing the way you think about things, and it is putting the work in. I mean, Regan gives you the framework that you can follow and the accountability, but ultimately it's down to yourself that you really need to be committed to it. And then I think if you are committed and you're on this program, then you definitely will see results. I mean, and that was one of the reasons why I jumped on it, because I did see the results from kind of November time with other people. And that was one of the motivating factors for me. So I think if you're committed, motivated to change, and you want to change, then this would be a brilliant program. And if you come from a sports type background, I mean, I know it's called like the Regan's Rugby, but I think having similar-minded people really does help as well, because you've been brought up in that kind of rugby sports mentality, and this is what the program gives you. So yeah, there we go. Final words from me.
Wicked. Oh, I was going to say something really good, but I forgot. What were you saying again? Program. Blah, blah, blah. I had a really good one-liner, but I forgot what it was. All right, cool. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there. Cheers for listening, and cheers, Leigh, for your time. If you have questions on the Facebook video, comment. I think Leigh will see it because he's in the group. Or if you're listening on the podcast, you can email me, regansrugby@gmail.com, and I can answer your questions, or I'm sure I'll pass it on to Leigh, and he will potentially give us some answers as well. So cheers, guys. Thanks for watching and listening. Get in touch if you need me, and I'll speak to you soon. Cheers.